Welcome back to Football Daily, where today we're using AI. That's right, today on We Need to Talk, I thought we'd mix it up a little bit. On Football Daily classically, we have done an awful lot of how to fixes on podcasts, on Sunday Vibes, on We Need to Talk, on Continental Club, you name it, we've tried to fix it. Now, sometimes our fixes have been good, sometimes they've been downright terrible. We're simply not intelligent enough to get it right. But I know someone that is, ChatGPT. Today I'm taking your problems that you sent to me on this tweet, I'm plugging them into ChatGPT, I'm going to see what solutions artificial intelligence offers, because I'm tired of hearing Patrick Van Straten say sign Harvey Barnes. Just stop. We've got 10 teams. We're going to start with Arsenal. A lot of fans were saying they want a backup to Thomas Partey. So let's go for what? Under 25, because that's the sort of realm that Arsenal sign in it, isn't it? Under 25 midfielder. Should Arsenal sign this summer as a backup to Thomas Partey? What you got then, ChatGPT? What have you got? I do not have access to the current transfer market, news or rumours beyond my knowledge of the cut-off date. Always a problem. An immediate problem. September 2021, these players are going to be out of date. Heavily out of date. Boubakary Soumaré would have been a very interesting shout at the time when he was at Lille before he went to Leicester, when he was playing alongside Benjamin Andre, seemed very progressive and has actually started to find his feet a little bit at Leicester. I mean, Albert Samuel Conga at Anderlecht literally signed for the club. So we are on the track here. We're on the right track. Professional football teams at home, wake up. You could start using this. Seriously. I mean, the recruitment literally can't be any worse than I've seen in some of the Premier League teams this year. I mean, Everton should just start using this as a recruitment tool. Houssam Aouar from Lyon, who is out of contract in the summer, I believe, and might be a viable option. The one thing I will say is Soumaré's gone, Lokonga's already gone, and Aouar, it feels like his level is probably below Arsenal now. I'm going to ask you for some more names, because I'm not massively happy with those three names. Let's see what I've just put. Give me three more names in it. I've been very rude. Ryan Gravenberch at Ajax would have been a really interesting suggestion, this one. But he's gone to Bayern Munich. You know, they're going to dribble out all of his stuff about his technical ability and physicality. Camavinga, see, this is the problem. He's at Stade Rennes here. Imagine Camavinga at Arsenal. In fact, there were rumours about Camavinga going on loan to Arsenal, weren't there, in January. Florian Wirtz is a stinking shout. He's not a defensive midfielder. He's not covering for Thomas Partey. This, so far, suggestion-wise, for Arsenal, it's like a 2 out of 10. They're either out of date or out of position. I'm not happy with artificial intelligence so far. Patrick Van Straten 1, AI 0. Moving down the league to Manchester City, a lot of people were talking about the left-back problems. Obviously, they let Zinchenko go. They let Joao Cancelo go. So give me 5 left-back options that Manchester City could sign to start every week. Ben Chilwell, how are you going to get... I mean, there were rumours that City were heavily interested in Ben Chilwell. Alex Grimaldo, Nunes, that's a shame, because Nunes would have been perfect, but he's obviously at PSG. Not going to get him out of PSG now. He's playing really, really well. Tagliafico, likewise, had a good World Cup. Obviously, he's at Lyon now, no longer at Ajax. This is the problem. It's all out of date, 2021. So it doesn't work. Gravenberch isn't left back. He's not left back. AI is stinking the gaff out here. I mean, Grimaldo is now probably 28. I don't really like any of these suggestions. I mean, Nunes would have been a great one, and I just don't see them being able to get him out of PSG, although Man City are insanely rich. Never say never. Ben Chilwell, you know what? Ben Chilwell, not a horrible shout here. He was linked, wasn't he, I think last summer, weirdly, towards deadline day, and I think that was off the back of the Cucurella signing. I do think Chilwell's better than Cucurella. I think he should be starting every week for Chelsea, and I think Graham Potter is slowly coming to realise that if he wasn't going to have, and he did end up leaving in the summer, he would have been an amazing option for Man City. So it's not the worst shout. I think we're going to see worse shouts than Ben Chilwell from this AI nonsense. Manchester United, obviously we all know, centre forward is needed. Anthony Martial is made of glass, and Wout Weghorst, despite being the best player in the world, is upgradable. So give me a list of 10. Let's go under 27-year-old. I think I'd be happy with 26-year-olds being signed. Under 27-year-old strikers could sign this summer. I'm going to add in here some information that might help me narrow down the list of names. They must be... I think physical is key for Erik ten Hag's system. He clearly likes a player up there that can add a different dimension. Good in hold-up. Again, you've seen the likes of Wout Weghorst be able to get the best out of players like Marcus Rashford. Clinical in front of goal. And fit, first and foremost. Because, you know, Anthony Martial's never fit. He's a lot of those things, but availability is the best ability and he's never available. Okay, yes, we understand you don't have the information on the latest fitness. Oh, fit! I asked for fit and they're throwing me Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Come on. Okay, now Erling Haaland obviously would have been absolute perfection for Manchester United, and this is when he was at Borussia Dortmund. He's obviously gone on to play for Manchester City. Alexander Isak, really interesting shout as well. Gone on to play for Newcastle. Very interested to see what happens with Isak at Newcastle because I feel like he hasn't ripped up any trees there yet. Patson Daka, I don't know what's gone on with him at Leicester, man. I would like to see him get given more opportunities. Iheanacho looks great in the 9, but with the phasing out of Jamie Vardy, I think Patson Daka, I think he's made 9 starts this season. I don't know, I just wanted a bit more for Patson Daka because his record in Austria was absolutely outrageous. Donyell Malen, is he playing in Dortmund? 12 starts to be fair, 1 goal. Not the clinical nature I asked for there. Boadu at Alkmaar. Odsonne Edouard, he's now at, Crystal Palace. Rafa Leao being shouted in there. And not really a striker, more of a left winger. I don't see that one happening. Not convinced about this list. If I had to pick someone, I probably would take Lautaro Martinez from this list. Put it in as number 2 behind Erling Haaland. I think there are slightly better options out there. I think the reason that it's not given great names is because, again, it cuts off at seemingly 21, 22. And some of the players that have come to the forefront, you think of the likes of Dusan Vlahovic at Juventus or, Victor Osimhen at Napoli. Maybe they're just not in here yet. Mate, let's give me 5 more names. I want to see how you end up getting a player like Victor Osimhen, who is clearly Manchester United's number 1 target here. Oh, no. Sasa Kaladzic? No. Jonathan David, who's obviously going to move this summer. I think his contract is dwindling. Again, I think it's probably a level below where Manchester United are looking. Sorloth? No. Tammy Abraham has been heavily linked literally this week with Manchester United, although obviously he's not at Chelsea, he's at Roma. Chelsea do have an €80 million option to bring him back. He hasn't had an amazing season at Roma, certainly not as good as his first year in Italy. And Darwin Núñez, who would have been a great signing for Manchester United. Obviously, he gets pelters online, but he scores goals. He is physical. I would love to see him play at Old Trafford. So if I had to pick someone from this 15-man shortlist, it would probably be Lautaro Martinez. For Liverpool, where to start, man? Where to start? Clearly in the midfield. So we need midfielders that are young, that are hungry. Liverpool need to sign at least 2 midfielders in the summer, which 10 players would be good options for the club. Must be under the age of 28, play in central midfield, and be an upgrade on the current team. They do. They need, I think, at least 2 central midfielders in the summer. So let's see what 10 names are thrown up here by AI. Yuri Tielemans at Leicester coming in top. Obviously, he's out of contract in the summer. I still think would be a viable option for the Reds. He would be an upgrade on some of their players. There's no doubt about it for me. Do I see that happening? No, because if they really wanted Yuri Tielemans, they could have got Yuri Tielemans for a massively cut price fee in the summer. Rodrigo de Paul at Atletico Madrid. Neuhaus, who has actually been linked to Liverpool last year, very close to joining them, I think. Nicola Barella at Inter Milan would be a fabulous player for Liverpool. Honestly, would be so good. Renato Sanchez, I also think would be an okay option. He's obviously now at PSG, getting absolutely no look in. Do PSG want to cash in on him potentially? It's clearly not worked there. Boubakary Soumaré, ChatGPT loves the guy, doesn't he? Locatelli at Sassuolo, he's obviously now at Juventus, but again, could Juventus be tempted to cash in on Manuel Locatelli given their problems behind the scenes, the financial issues, the fact that they're going to miss out on the Champions League, the the fact they are so low in the table. Camavinga, not going to get him out of Madrid. Ryan Gravenberch, unlikely to get him out of Bayern Munich, although given he's also not getting an awful lot of game time, it might be an option. And finally, we see the most realistic suggestion I think we've seen so far, Jude Bellingham. We asked for 2 names here. I think I would probably take Jude Bellingham and Barella. You know, they're not perfect suggestions, but it's probably the best list I've seen AI produce so far in terms of scouting reports. Jude Bellingham is Liverpool fans' dream target. Do I see them being able to get him out of Dortmund for 150 million on big wages and compete with Real Madrid and Man City? No. I think Jude Bellingham is just going to be out of their price range. It's a huge fee to commit, and I just can't imagine Liverpool doing 150 million up front on a player. But never say never. Never say never, man. AI is predicting it could happen. So we've got Jude Bellingham. I think Barella, I would also think about Locatelli. I know he hasn't had an amazing time in Juventus, but when he was at Sassuolo, his ball distribution from deep, his ability in tight spaces, he was so press resistant. I think he'd be a good option. As do I think Renato Sanchez would be an exciting fit. Apparently not. For Chelsea, I'm not going to lie, I don't agree with this, but there was a lot of comments saying sack the manager, replacement for the manager, replacement for Graham Potter. Give the guy time, please. Just give Graham Potter a bit more time. Give him to the end of the season. You may as well now. The season is all but over. But I'm going to listen to you guys at home. So if Chelsea sacked Graham Potter, give me a list of the 3 best candidates to take over as manager of the club. 1, Massimiliano Allegri. I mean, he wouldn't fit in my opinion. I would not be a huge fan of Max Allegri going to Chelsea. I don't really see it. I think, you know, his Juventus teams are pretty hard to watch at times. Yes, he's had massive success in the past, but currently struggling to get the best out of that unit. You know, it talks about reaching the Champions League final and the amount of titles he's won, but I'm unconvinced. Julian Nagelsmann. Now, here is an interesting one. Could you tempt Bayern Munich to chop here? I mean, if he doesn't win the Bundesliga this season, you've got to suggest that he might go. It's not been a match made in perfect heaven like I thought it would be. Obviously, the most exciting young manager in world football, you would think, given his age and what he did at Leipzig. But I just don't think it's quite as smooth as I was expecting. I mean, the fans have quite taken to him the same way. You know, I thought his antics on the weekend, the way he was kind of berating the referee, were a little bit naive, a little bit embarrassing, because that ban means that he misses the Union Berlin game. It's not great. I don't know. It just hasn't quite worked. Would it work at Chelsea, though? It's an extremely young squad. I don't know. Maybe it would, you know. Thomas Tuchel is a former PSG, Borussia Dortmund, and a former Chelsea manager, mate. There's no way he would go back there. They should never have sacked him in the first place. I think easily the best suggestion on here is Julian Nagelsmann. Do I think it's realistic? Not really. Not unless he got chopped by Bayern. Likewise, at Tottenham, I suppose we're going to have to do the manager, aren't we? Because Antonio Conte still hasn't signed a contract. So let's think about the principles that Tottenham sort of embody in my mind. Give me a list of 5 managers suitable for Tottenham. They classically identify young managers. I'm thinking of that Poch model. They're young, play progressive football with a focus on youth development. Let's see what that's like. So I'm thinking of, can we find the next Pochettino for Tottenham Hotspur using AI here? Julian Nagelsmann pops straight out. Obviously, we've just spoken about him, what he did at the Red Bull Group, what he did at Hoffenheim. Fits as a perfect candidate, but there's no way they're going to be able to get him. Erik ten Hag was literally interviewed by Tottenham. So this is proof that AI is, you know, it's on a fairly decent level, because he was actually interviewed and didn't get the job because they didn't believe his English was strong enough. Which doesn't look great now, does it? Brendan Rodgers, who's obviously done an amazing job at Leicester City, but I don't think the fit would quite work at Tottenham Hotspur. I don't think he would get people out of their seats upon a rival. I don't think he would really get Tottenham fans going. Hasenhüttl, who's out of a job at the moment, you know, didn't work at Southampton in the end, but I do think he's a really good coach. Don't think Tottenham would be looking at somebody like him, though. And then Marco Rose, who's doing a cracking job at Leipzig. I mean, I thought they were really impressive in the second half against Manchester City last night. So for me, he's probably the best suggestion, because I think Nagelsmann's unattainable. Erik ten Hag is the king of Old Trafford. Brendan Rodgers, no. Ralph Hasenhüttl, no. So Marco Rose for me. For West Ham, we're looking for midfielders to replace Declan Rice in the summer. Because I do think Declan Rice is going to go. It's going to be somewhere between 80 and 100 million pounds, probably to Arsenal or Chelsea, maybe even Liverpool. So who can they replace him with? Because they've not been great. Morgan Sanson is not going to be a replacement with Declan Rice. That's one of the worst suggestions we've had. John McGinn. No. And then Boubakary Samare, who is obviously now at Leicester. So none of those three names work. I'm going to ask for 5 more names because I'm not happy with any of those suggestions. I thought Morgan Sanson, this is probably when he was still in League A and was actually quite dominant, but not working now. John McGinn, no. Boubakary Samari, no. Yves Bissouma has already been moved on as well, so because we are out of date here, unfortunately, he's already gone to Tottenham, although he's now broken his ankle. Rodrigo de Paul, I think, would just be out of their price range, really. Obviously, quite a vital component of Diego Simeone's side now. Ruben Neves is an interesting shout because his contract is running low. Do they believe they can tempt him away from a club of a similar level? It's not going to be easy, but he's definitely the best shout so far. Maybe the most interesting shout, though, is Koopmeiners. He's obviously no longer at Alkmaar. He is at Atlanta. And, I don't think he would be totally obtainable, if I'm honest, for West Ham. I think his ceiling is probably above that now. Probably most interestingly, Sander Berge, who is, of course, at Sheffield United and is pushing hard for a Premier League spot. They're just about holding Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough off at the moment. And he was being linked with Premier League clubs. He was being linked with the likes of Newcastle. I think Liverpool were even linked with him in January. I think that would be a decent shout. I don't think it'd be the perfect, and I don't think it would be a player of Declan Rice's level. But in terms of a player who could come in, fulfill a role, as a squad player, as a rotation option, I think Sander Berge isn't terrible. Now, I know they've just appointed Javi Gracia at Leeds, but I kind of want to see what the AI thinks would be a good option for Leeds. And it wouldn't be... Can you stop suggesting Nagelsmann? Every suggestion is just Nagelsmann. Get Nagelsmann. Best young manager in Europe. Obviously, this is when he was at Leipzig and hadn't gone to Bayern yet. Oh, he had gone to Bayern. This is currently the manager of Bayern Munich. How are Leeds getting the current manager of Bayern Munich? Erik ten Hag? I think the AI thinks way too highly of Leeds United. No offence, Leeds United fans, but the first names out here, Nagelsmann and Ten Hag, it's going down in my estimations. Patrick Van Straaten is winning comfortably. Hey, stop the generation. Marco Rose. Stop the generation. Moving on to Aston Villa, and Aston Villa fans were suggesting that they want another centre-back. Obviously, Carlos still out with that Achilles problem. Concert and Mings, the centre-back duo that just about kept them in the league. So let's ask for a defensive option for them. The 3 options that they're suggesting, Jules Koundé, who's obviously gone to Barca. Ridiculous. Ibrahima Konate, he's gone to Liverpool. Nikola Milenkovic, probably the best shout. But I think he signed a new contract till 2027 at Fiorentina. Not happening. The lower down the league we've gone, the worse the suggestions from AI have got. The last team we're going to do is Leicester, because obviously they're losing Yuri Tielemans. I think he's been a suggestion from AI for one of the other sides. But what 3 players could replace him? I've had enough of this. I've actually had enough of it, because it just pumps up the same names. Boubakary Samare, again. Yves Bissouma, again. Let's try and predict the third one. Sander Berge. Rodrigo de Paul, we could have said that. We've had that name come up 8 times. Crap names. Do you know what? This has really made me realise. Don't listen to AI when it comes to football. Just don't. Obviously. Listen to Patrick Van Straaten. It's probably Patrick Van Straaten 9, AI 1 in terms of that 10-team list. If you want to see me do it with the other 10 Premier League teams, then let me know in the comments below. Overall, unconvinced about this video. Feel like it was a bit of a failure, ChatGPT, today. But if you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you later.